President Donald Trump is refusing to concede defeat, insisting that the elections were fraudulent. Now, for some analysis, elections commentator Kurt Orderson joins me now from the U.S. A very good afternoon to you, Kurt, and thank you very much for your time. How dangerous is this refusal to concede these elections by the incumbent president?
Hi, good day, Morena. On your question, I think it's a very dangerous moment as well, because obviously this was one of the most polarized elections in American history. I think obviously with the racial tension that's already that's been existing in the streets, it's been present during the moment of the Black Lives Matter. We saw the insurgence of kind of white supremacist gangs basically gang up with their ammunition, arming up themselves basically for this moment. So the reality is obviously America's obviously they are there was a massive obviously a convivial moment yesterday of kind of joy and celebration. But I think a lot of Americans that I spoke to are obviously very conscious of the fact that there is still this presence of people, Trump voters basically, who are not happy, or saying the elections was there was corruption, there was kind of illegal elements that has been taking place at polling stations, etc. So I think people are and for this kind of new future for Kamala and Biden and what they will be presenting to the Americans. But I think that people are obviously very worried as well, because the question is obviously what replaces that void that Trump has allowed to kind of exist. This kind of Trump cult basically that has managed to kind of mobilize himself over the last 4 years. So I think that's the fundamental question at the moment.
Kurt, is Joe Biden the answer to the American problems, or is he just the better of two devils? Because obviously the celebrations we saw across America, a lot of Americans happy to see Trump out. But is Joe Biden the man that they would have preferred, or is he just, we wanted Trump out and we will take what we get?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, I think obviously for a lot of people, especially on the left, who are obviously supporting Bernie Sanders, there was a big push obviously for a kind of more, I guess, like a kind of socialist democracy. And there was that kind of fringe movement that was kind of like mobilizing themselves on the periphery. But I think obviously within the kind of mainstream Democratic Party and the kind of bipartisan issues around, whether it's issues around the kind of foreign policies, and I think Biden obviously have been complicit with that kind of over his tenure, through the Obama era, even prior to that, with for example invading Afghanistan, Iraq, the kind of Wall Street, etc. So I think that Biden is not necessarily the answer for a lot of people in terms of kind of like the leader that for example that an Obama represents, for example. But I think the issue here at hand is that people are obviously optimistic to see what he'll come up with, and obviously you can see a lot of the kind of folks who are leaning more left in the Democratic Party, their policies are being pushed in, like, for example, the issues around climate change, affordable housing, issues around Medicare for all. So we'll see, what happens with those kind of socialist ideas, how it will be infiltrated and implemented within this kind of new dispensation.
And just quickly before I let you go, Kurt, we've seen police brutality in the Obama administration. It may not have been as rife as it was under the Trump administration, and Joe Biden was with Obama when some of these things were happening. Can black people in America be confident that he will curb this scourge?
I think that's the million-dollar question at this moment. I think that obviously I don't necessarily have an answer for your question, but I think what I do sense in the streets, just from my observation, being here in the U.S. and, having attended all the BLM protests in Baltimore and Washington, D.C., I think what people are crying for is that, we need to have there needs to be implementation of systemic changes. Things like defunding the police. How do we create a more equitable society, specifically for marginalized communities? I think Black America specifically, you know, historically, you know, have really fought, have been fighting, you know, for just to exist in this country, to be a citizen. And I think so I think, yes, you know, the kind of iconography of Kamala Harris as the first Black American, the first person of South Asian descent to come into, you know, as kind of his vice president. So that specific representation obviously speaks to, you know, what the tides of change is coming, and it's here right now. So I think what Black America is saying is that, yes, we came out to support it because you could see, I think the Black vote, you know, was key, was a key kind of fundamental turning point for these elections. I think we saw it in Detroit, we saw it in Pennsylvania, specifically in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
We saw it in Atlanta, Georgia, and Stacey Abrams and her mobilization, and how she and the comrades have managed to kind of to mobilize the Black vote.
Yeah.
So the truth is, it was Black people who came out, you know, who
Yeah.
basically saved the day, you know, for Biden and for Kamala. So I think fundamental change, systemic change specifically, is key at the end, and we'll see what this new administration will be implementing and how they'll think about transforming the system.
All right. Kurt, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. That's Kurt Orderson, who is an elections commentator coming to us straight out of the US.